choice.
But I am more of a cheese fries person, and at Smokes Poutinier, however you pronounce it, Poutinier,
Hey,
Poutinier,
cheese
whatever,
fries are good.
they do they'll
Poutinerie, it's
do
French.
they'll do poutine,
Poutinerie.
but they have like the rainbow one, which is like it's poutine with the curds and the gravy and everything, but also like nacho cheese on it and some sriracha and some avocado, and I'm like, yes, I can get behind that.
That seems
I
like
don't hate that. I mean, the nacho cheese works because it's basically sauce. Then what did you say? Sriracha? Sriracha's fine.
I
Sriracha's
love
okay.
sriracha.
And then the avocado is where I start going. I don't know.
well, I
Not that I
mean,
don't like
I like
avocado. I like
avocado.
avocado just fine, but I don't know.
not sure
I
what it
think
would add to a
that's the
poutine.
bridge too far. Nacho cheese, all right, all right. Sriracha, sure. Some people like a little bit of extra spice or whatever. I'm okay with that.
Like if you're
Then you
looking for
got the
something that's
avocado.
going
That's
to
where I'm
add
like, nah,
color,
that's the line.
then
That's the
they
line right
should
there.
probably be going more in the direction of like green chives or something like that. That's got a little bit
Yeah,
more
those
of
are
like
on
a
there.
flavor
That's a
pop.
topping. Chives are a topping, not
Yeah.
an
I mean,
ingredient.
this thing is basically poutine
Everything is a
bastardized
topping on
into a
poutine.
cheese
The only
fry.
ingredient is fries, gravy, and cheese curds. Everything else is a topping.
Well, no. See, I would say
That's
that
what I need in my life.
the fries, gravy, and cheese. That's the core,
Yeah,
right? That's
the ingredients.
That's the core meal.
Yeah.
And you can add things like bacon bits and chives. That's topping.
Okay.
I would say that's topping.
Okay.
Smoked meat, that's an ingredient because that's integrated into. I mean, topping literally means on top, right? You don't integrate the chives into the mix. You sprinkle them on top, don't you?
I don't know if I would agree with that distinction.
No?
Like if someone's going to add salt to a dish, like is that an ingredient or is that like just
It's
someone adding
seasoning.
some salt? Yeah. Okay. So, but like you still incorporate that. So like where does seasoning come in the topping ingredient distinction here? Oh fuck!
All right,
Sorry,
I think that can be
I'm
explained.
watching Rocket
I think
League in
that
the
can be
background.
explained.
Okay, all right.
Ingredient is a core component.
Yeah. Okay.
Seasoning is something that's done after the fact to taste, which
Right.
includes salt and pepper.
Okay.
And topping is something that you add at the end,
Which
on
is
top of the finished product.
okay. But like,
It's not a core component.
but my I guess my trouble is that like when you start adding any one of those things that you're qualifying as also ingredients, you're pulling away from what the core idea of a poutine is, right? Like a poutine
I agree with that.
at its
Yeah, I don't
core
dis-
is XYZ being fries, gravy, curds. And you can
That is the
absolutely
core.
add things to it and it would still be a poutine. But you can't take away those three constituent components.
Yes, I think that's a fair
poutine,
assessment.
right? So like,
I think that is a fair
I
statement.
just don't feel good about calling the other things also core ingredients. You know what I mean? Like,
No,
Yeah,
I'm not
marshmallow
arguing that at
smoked
all.
don't feel-
meat
I don't feel
is definitely not a core ingredient.
No,
yeah,
no. Smoked meat is
smoked meat
an
not
additive.
Yeah,
It's a topping.
it's a topping, right? So like
Well,
just because
okay,
it's
okay,
not
I see
incorporated
where you're
in,
coming
like
from.
so yeah.
I see the argument you're making here. So the only distinction I will make on the topic of the smoked meat is whether or not it's rested on top of the poutine at the end, or if it's incorporated
purely
within.
positional question, is it?
That's my position.
Okay,
that's where I'm going to
Look
stand.
on Toast's
top.
face right now.
The fuck have I walked?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So Toast, full disclosure, I have been recording for a couple minutes because this discussion seemed interesting enough where I wanted to like capture it. But yeah, you've walked in on a poutine discussion that is ready to be derailed at pretty much any time. Because I feel like you really,
I mean, I don't
unless you
know.
have
I feel
something,
like-
some spicy hot take that you've got on poutine.
I
like
I
to
feel like
add.
we could do an entire episode about poutine. Why
I
not?
know,
I got a
we could.
spicy hot take for you.
Here we go.
Poutine is not that good.
No, you don't like
See-
cheese. Your opinion doesn't matter.
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Wet blanket.
Yeah, your bias is showing there, Muffin.
I am a would-be Canadian. If I could, I would be a Canadian.
Your whole bi ass is showing.
Tim can answer this. Eating poutine is part of the citizenship test, right, Tim?
Oh, I'll eat it.
It should have been. Though
I
I,
will 100% eat a poutine anytime
Yeah.
someone puts something down in front of me. I'll just say
Absolutely.
it's not as good as people make it out to be.
sure.
Technically,
It's junk food. It's junk food.
Tim's
You have to be
Kiwi
the
wife is more Canadian than you are.
Yeah, that's amazing,
Yes,
right?
correct. Absolutely correct.
She's also now lived in
100%.
Canada longer than he ever has, so
Yeah,
that
that's true.
also is a thing. But yeah, so like that citizenship
I wish I could live in Canada. God
ceremony
damn it.
was a Zoom call with
Yeah.
132 participants from 42 different countries.
Cool.
Wow.
Yeah, so I thought that was like, oh my god, and that was like this date at 1:15. There was more than one of those going at any given time, and presumably at least every weekday they've got one of these citizenship things going. They had it down to a well-oiled machine. There were some groups that were all sharing one cell phone with like 5 applicants, all kind of sitting in front of it, and it was really fucking cool.
Oh, nice.
It was a really neat way of doing a citizenship ceremony, non-standard. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah.
But it's good
cool.
that it had that flexibility, like they were able to, entertain the notion that you don't have to be there in person to take the oath. And
We've been in COVID for 2 years now, so
Yeah.
I feel like I would hope they've had figured it out by now.
Yeah, because they wouldn't want to delay all of those. It'd be like the same idea as
kidding,
delaying
backlog.
surgeries. Those applications don't go anywhere. You still have to take care of
kidding.
them, and the longer you wait, the more backlog you're going to have to deal with. So you find a way to adapt.
I am with you.
Yeah,
Yep.
it seemed to
Makes
go
sense.
pretty well. Other than like getting 132 Zoom applicants to unmute and then say the oath or affirmation of citizenship. That was a shit show. And they made us do it in both Canadian and French.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Did you say Canadian and French?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, racist.
Sorry, that was unintentional. It was in English and in French. I'm
fantastic.
half watching a Rocket League final.
That was the best way you could have.
Yeah, I know. Oops. My prejudice is showing. But yeah, no, they had us do it in English and French, and of course, a whole bunch of people are most definitely ESL. So for them to lead us in the pledge in French, it was literally like 2 syllables at a time. It wasn't even one word at a time, like some syllables. Like if it was a 3-syllable word, it would get broken up so that everyone could pronounce each syllable correctly, not say the pledge correctly. It was like really very granular in making sure that the French side of things was like properly given like the space to actually be performed, which was both unexpected and, I didn't hate it. It was just weird.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was neat. But everyone who's involved seemed to take a lot of pride in the administration of it. And that was also like one of those things where I'd be like, oh my God, I mean, how many of these Zoom calls have they been on? You'd think they'd be fucking exhausted by it and tired of the whole process and, whatever. But no, it seemed good. So.
Well, I mean, I think it's similar to like the work I do, which is processing similar forms. I mean, I don't have to do it live necessarily, but I mean, taking calls, things like that. You end up answering the same questions over and over and over again. And you still got to be professional. You still got to put on the pro face, no matter how often you answer the same question. So I imagine it's the same thing there as well.
100%. And I think you're digging at the heart of it because like for you do this literally every single day.
Right.
But for the person on the other end of that call,
it's
like
seminal. It's an important thing.
Yeah, it's like one of the most important things that's ever going to happen in their lives.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
You should have seen some of the get-ups that these people were wearing, the amount of decoration on their fucking walls.
You guys in your Oilers jerseys?
Yeah,
Come
like
on.
we were like probably in the bottom half of the call as far as like national pride on representation, which
a Canadian team jersey is perfectly appropriate, I find.
for sure.
It
No, it
shows
was
commitment.
great, but like also we were just in the bottom half, right? Like some people had like the Canada glasses and a big Canadian top hat and flags and like they had them all, and I was like, oh my God, like you guys are really well prepared for this. Like we kind of fucked this up, and I didn't even think about it. And Kate's like, should we wear our jerseys? And I was like, oh, that's a great idea. And we're sitting we're sitting there waiting to get on the call, and it's like, please dress appropriately for the ceremony. And I was like, I wonder what they mean by appropriately. Like, I'm assuming they mean like don't show up in swim trunks. But I'm hoping that a hockey jersey is okay. Yeah,
It's weird. It's one of those times where like, especially with everything that's been going on lately, you want to say like, it's the one time where performative patriotism is really encouraged.
Yeah, 100%.
which
And I
is
didn't
cool.
and I didn't feel bad about seeing those Canadian flags, which was a nice change for me
Yeah.
as of recently. So, yep, it was good. It was good.
Cool.
Well, congratulations to Mrs. Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks. Kate is very excited. She said
Kate.
she felt very at ease for like the first time in a long time. Because we've been in paperwork limbo for the better part of her entire stay here in Canada, waiting for
Yeah.
various visas, permanent residency, Canadian citizenship, and it was just never like a lot of it is just time sitting around waiting, but none of it was ever final, right? There was always another thing you had to do, and now that citizenship's done,
There you go. She's good.
it's done. She's done. So I
This is done now.
think she feels
I can
good
move
about
on
it.
with my life.
Exactly.
Yeah,
How long has she been in Canada now?
March of 2015. So just over 7 years.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, good for her.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm jealous. I wish I could be a Canadian.
Yeah. All in due time. We just got to keep
Someone
finding
find
you.
me a job.
Yeah.
You are a doctorate. You have a doctorate. If you applied yourself, it wouldn't be that hard to make it.
If you
here,
applied
really wanted
yourself.
Wow.
Yeah.
to. Look, I'm sorry. Some people need tough love sometimes. Muffin is absolutely the kind of guy who needs tough love.
This
The
muffin,
guys-
this
Yeah,
muffin
guys
is too
would
soft.
agree
It
with
needs
you
to
on
harden
that.
up.
Firmly.
This man is holds a doctorate and is a brilliant professor, and he's continuously underselling himself. Sometimes I wonder if he does it for the attention, but either
yeah.
way,
Partially.
the man deserves more credit than he gives himself,
Oh, yeah.
rightly or wrongly.
I am the poster child for imposter syndrome.
Oh, yeah. I think
Right,
I'm
but of course, of the
constantly-
four of us here, you're the one who what's the word I'm looking for? Not who deserves it, but who merits it the less. There you go. I'll
the
say that.
least, yeah.
Yeah, the least less. Sorry.
I mean, you say that, but
Yeah.
then I look at the people that I work with who do the kind of stuff that I do, and I'm like, how the fuck did I get here?
They're
I
faking
just-
it.
Yeah,
They're
they're
faking
faking
it or
it
they're
just as
lying
well
to
as
you.
you.
Yeah.
Like, I am just the biggest con man, basically.
No,
is
no.
all this is.
Aren't we
I'm
all?
a con man.
Yeah,
who's
exactly.
just-
That's right, Toast.
Yes.
Toast has
I'm
got
just
it.
waiting for everybody to realize how bad I am at what I do, and that I have no.
Welcome
fucking
to the
idea what
rest
I'm
of
doing.
us.
I'll just get fired and then I can play Elden Ring for 8 hours a day.
See, like
That will
every
be a
time
good
my
long-term
department head gets
solution.
upset with me about something, I'm like, "Is this it? Is this the day that I get fired?" And they realize they don't fucking need me because they sure as hell don't. But
Nah, I say.
Yeah.
Just nah.
but if I could find a job at a university here, I would absolutely apply. I would take it if it was offered.
Nice.
I mean, you do realize that we have a university in Canada,
Yeah.
and I'm
Just
sure
one,
they're
though.
always hiring people.
the University of Lethbridge is great.
That's the only one that we have.
University.
Yeah.
There are lots of Canadian universities. The
Of
problem
course there
is
are.
there aren't a lot of, and every Canadian university has a department that would kind of fit me.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is the jobs that come up in those departments are so good, and they're what everybody is looking for. Whenever anyone applies for one of them,
It's a dream position.
I mean, there's like 300 applicants for one of those positions,
Yeah.
and
Internationally, I would presume, right? Like from all over the world.
sure, but mostly from within Canada.
Really? Huh, fascinating.
Oh yeah, it's an incredibly competitive job market. So the people who end up getting those positions
I find
are
that fascinating, honestly.
objectively better than I am. Like,
Well,
like
I
not
don't know about-
even. No,
I
no,
don't know
no.
about that, but
I
well,
do. I know that
Okay,
for
okay.
certain. So like there
I'm
are
trying to
metrics
bolster
that
you,
can
Muffin.
look
Work
at.
with me here.
No. Like I acknowledge who I am and what I do. Like the work that I do is important. I mostly do methodological developments, animal movement, animal species, stuff like this, but mostly in the realm of how do we do stats properly? How do we apply math and statistics properly?
yeah.
Problem is, I'm not a biostatistician, so I can't apply for those kinds of jobs. And if I did, I'd be way out of my league anyway. So the people then, the kind of jobs that I would apply for, those people who get those jobs tend to have like multiple publications in science and nature, like the very tippy top journals, which I have never been able to broach even once. So
Sounds like you gotta come up here and work for StatsCan.
like That's
There you go.
that is a possibility. Like Ent has
Outside of
actually found
academia, but still
jobs.
valuable. Yeah.
Yeah, and Ent has actually found jobs in the past that he shared with me. It's like, hey, this pays like $150,000. It's basically just a data analyst position for some part of the government of Ontario, for example, like like a regional educational thing in Ontario.
But your specialty
Um,
is marine wildlife, is that right?
no, just wildlife in
No.
general.
Oh,
Just
okay. I thought you
but
specialized
really
in
just
marine.
movement ecology. But really, it's just data. You give me data, I can
Yeah.
analyze data.
I
The
mean,
stats are cool.
yeah. If you were willing to range outside of academia, I have no doubt that your skills could find a place in several, even in the private sector, private, public,
Yep, just gotta sell it.
academic. Yeah,
Yep.
you could. Why
I
not?
wouldn't want to go private because I don't want to have to
Nope.
deal with, bosses and people being like, you need to be here for X number of hours a week, and we want to see this, this, and this every
Hmm.
week. It's like that's one of the great things about my job is that I get to work on my own pace,
I
on
get
my
that.
own schedule when I want. I mentor people, they produce, I produce, everybody is happy as long as those things happen.
I mean, it all
And
makes sense, of course.
So, I mean,
those things don't happen in most positions.
Yeah.
That's why academic positions are so incredibly valued.
yeah.
Okay.
So I don't
Okay.
know that like going to private is necessarily going to, completely seal your fate in that sense. I know that just like some exciting news from my cousin. I'm very ACAB, and he's the only cop I know, and he's quitting the force.
Hooray.
Wow.
So my cousin
Going
is
into
no
private
longer
security?
going to be a bee, which is fantastic. He's going into the private sector
All right.
no.
to sell. No, not private security. Thankfully, he's not going to the private
Blackwater?
sector of that industry. No, he's going to sell industrial wastewater treatment, like chemicals and processes. And
Wow.
that
That's a shift.
yeah, it is. But his dad runs a business, so he's sort of like been tangentially related to it. But
Oh, so
it's-
nepotism. Got it.
well, yeah, the opportunity to find that position, yes. The opportunity to do it, not so much. But
I know,
the
I'm
interesting
just-
thing is it's a results based position. It pays X amount of dollars, and I expect you to do this amount of things, per month or per year. And I don't really care where you do it from. I don't care how you get it done. It's just that's your chance to figure it out. Here's a truck. Here's a cell phone. Here's a 6-figure salary. Just go and figure it out. So it's like, fuck, that sounds pretty fucking nice. Like that's
Pretty cool.
and that's private sector, right? Like that. I feel like government jobs could just as easily be trapped in the note you have to be here 9 to 5 because that's policy.
Yes.
Well, government
So-
jobs are very much like that.
Yeah.
But
Yes. Yes, but.
Yes, but 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, of course, as you know, I'm sure government jobs have pretty strong unions, most of them.
Yeah.
Unions. So that you've got that going for you. So while I won't say there aren't certain dumb obligations placed on you, because of course there are.
Yeah,
Um,
because of
there-
course,
you know,
duh.
yeah, there's also some advantages there as well. And depending on the position you get, and of course the team that you end up working with, it varies. I've worked on teams that are exactly like you say, Tim, that are extremely regimented and micromanagey. But you get it also the other extreme as well. So there's a lot of variability there, and even though people tend to view government as a monolith, it
Yeah.
varies a lot based on department and even your like direct management team. Like I've had working in the same position, I've had my responsibilities shift pretty drastically based solely on my manager. We get a new manager coming in, and suddenly it's like they're shifting their priorities to a whole different area, and suddenly your job has a totally different angle
Candor
to it.
to it,
That, yeah, and you are still in the same position, you're still getting paid the same thing. Nothing on paper has changed, but your day to day has taken a new flavor. So,
Yeah.
take that for what it's worth. Some people like that. Some people might find that annoying. And either way, I'd understand. But it is what it is.
I could see where the adjustment would be a difficult thing to like just roll the dice on, right?
Well, that's the thing. So as I've been, as you guys know, I'm recently started a new position, and during the process, as I was applying, as I was applying for new jobs and things like that, the constant refrain I got from well-meaning friends and coworkers was like, "Listen, you're rolling the dice here. You know that, right? I mean, I get that you're looking for new challenges, but understand, like some places in government are awesome and some less so. So don't just take for granted that wherever you're going to end up is going to be an upgrade.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that was like repeated to me, like well-meaning again, like people aren't trying to like
No,
they weren't
they
trying to
care about
discourage
you.
me because they were trying to keep me there.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we encourage you to progress your career. However, don't just jump at any opportunity. I won't name names, but there was one department in particular. Anytime a job post came up there that I was qualified for, friends and acquaintances were like, "Okay, dude,
Stay away.
don't." You know, I know it looks good on paper. Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe don't apply for that one. Yeah. So there's a reason they have high turnaround. There's a reason they're constantly hiring. So I'm like, okay, all right, good to know.
Good to know.
Anyway.
Yeah. How are you doing, Toast?
Oh, tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of changing jobs, it just reminded me that like when our company got sold, we technically went from public sector to private sector.
Oh yeah.
And all it's resulted in so far is just the company that bought us like ripping everything apart and trying to figure out what they already have and what they need and who's supposed to fit where and
Just been turmoil.
yeah, for at least the last couple of weeks.
So is this
It's just
buyout
weird.
fairly recent?
We got bought in October,
Okay.
November.
Okay.
Still in like the first 6 months. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know. It's just exhausting because as people are shifting and expectations are all over the place. I feel like I'm taking on a lot, but it's the hope is that as things start to even out, they can kind of see that not only do I have knowledge which is useful, but that I can like hopefully be in a bit of a better position. And who knows? Otherwise, I walk. I'll go play Elden Ring for 8 hours a day and find another job.
Collect that sweet, sweet EI that never ever
Hooray.
runs out, and you just go on the
Follow
government
your
feed.
dreams.
Yeah, exactly.
Could not fathom wanting to play Elden Ring for 8 hours a day.
Muffin would kill someone.
You need to
I would
expand your
kill
horizons,
myself.
Muffin.
I've already expanded my horizons by playing that game as much as I have.
Hey, by the way, how are those gargoyles?
Fuck those gargoyles. Like that may just be a part of the game that I never see through.
Oh, come
Which
on.
is a potential
You can
problem
do
because
it.
I'm given to understand
Without-
that somehow if I'm supposed to complete Randy's quest line, I have to beat those gargoyles, and I'm like,
No.
maybe I
No,
don't
you
give a
don't.
shit
Yeah, I
about
was
this
just going to
stuff.
ask that. So without spoiling anything, the area that the gargoyles lead you to, there's another way there, isn't there?
I don't know about that, but as far as I know, the place after the gargoyles is not part of Randy's quest.
It's not, eh? Okay.
Good. Well, that would be fine then, because I am just like
Because I'm in the middle of.
I'm over it.
I'm in the middle of that quest, and I haven't needed to go there.
Yeah. Muffin, do not fight Millennia. Like, don't do it. It's not worth it.
just don't.
Just don't.
No, we gotta stop it. We gotta drag him to the end of the game. We're gonna.
Millennia is
we gotta
optional.
get him to beat everything.
Millennia is 100% optional. She's the
Is
hardest
there a
boss in the
trophy
game.
for it? If there's a trophy
Yes.
for it, we're making him beat her.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
You've got to
I need
remember,
that
Toast.
Sweet platinum.
I am not the trophy whore that you are. I do
Platinum.
not need my trophies. I said I am not the trophy whore that you are. I don't need no trophies.
You don't want
I'm
those
good.
nice little 10-second videos of you after, because they always seem to start after the boss is already dead, and you're just like standing there looking like
Standing
an
there.
idiot, and it pops and takes a nice little video and a photo of you after you did it.
No, I'm good.
Memories.
Now, I will say this. It took me literally 3 days to beat Millennia. So 3 days of like 2-3 hours a pop. Boy, was I frustrated. I posted in the thread about it. And man, as frustrated as I was, when I finally did it on the 3rd day, whoo, that elation was something.
Yeah.
It was like, yes! It was like, stand up in my living room. No one's around me. Just stand up and go, fuck you!
Nope.
For me, the gargoyles, I was on the gargoyles for 2 days. And that's not consistent. That's like I started them Friday night, I think, and tried a couple of times, got annoyed, went to bed, woke up the next day, tried again, realizing I wasn't getting anywhere. And I had respec into strength, and then I was just like, you know what? I think my magic is doing better. Respec back into magic, and then beat them in like 2 or 3 tries. It was amazing. It felt fantastic.
So I had that exact experience with Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh yeah,
So like the end boss of that game. I'm not sure if you guys ever played it.
yeah. The original, the first one.
Yeah, the first one.
Okay.
And I banged my head against that wall for like a day and a half.
Really?
And I put the game down for like 3 months.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Really?
And then one day I was like, "Fuck! I never beat that. Why did I never beat it?"
You went
and then
back to it. That's
and I
surprising.
loaded it up, and I think I beat it second try.
Wow.
I was like, I don't know what I was doing wrong. But the second time I went at it, it just clicked. So like, I don't know. Sometimes it's just one of those things, and I don't think that's necessarily the same thing as what you're doing, Toast. But like, sometimes stepping away from something is just like,
I agree with that for
a
sure.
light bulb clicks.
It is
I've
a
done
little
that.
bit.
I've done that tons of times. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me,
That
more-
said, though, I can't think of very many games, if any, that I've gone back to and finished after like months.
Yeah.
Like
I don't
that's
do it often.
rare.
It's one of the
That's
only
rare.
ones I've done.
Yeah. Like I'm trying to think back. Like how many games have I actually gone back to and finished after months of being away? If I do go back to a game after having left for a long time, and I'm not talking about MMOs. MMOs don't count. But if I do go back to a game after a long period, I usually start over. I usually
Right.
start a new fresh file. It's rare that I'll go back months later and continue an old save
Yeah.
from where I left off.
I started
Because most-
doing that with my new game plus for Bloodborne with Muffin, and that was after like 3 years
Yeah, eh?
of putting the game down. And I was amazed at how quick that came back.
Came back to you. Mm-hmm.
Even longer for me. That I don't remember how long it had been since I played that game last. I don't share the same. I don't have the same relationship that y'all have with these games. Like
No, but that's fascinating. That's interesting to talk about to me.
when I hit that wall, and I'm like, I can't, and I just fuck it. I don't want to have anything to do with it. I don't want.
Yeah.
I don't want that thing, and I think that's why I've stuck with Elden Ring the way that I have, because I can walk away
Leave. Yeah.
and go do something else. It's not
It's
like
absolutely-
Bloodborne or Dark Souls or anything where it's like you hit
absolutely
the boss you
absolutely
can't beat.
Linear. Yeah, exactly.
Fucking dad, this is who
Totally
you
get
have
it.
to beat now,
Mhm.
and
I
I
totally get it.
I'm finding it's much easier to pivot, and I mean, I think the gargoyle boss really exemplified that for me necessarily, because I'm like, I beat my head against the wall for a couple hours and tried to like figure out a way that would work with my current build and my play style, and finally I realized it just wasn't. So I was just kind of like, fuck it, we'll go back and respec, and then came back and annihilated it. Because I was also getting really annoyed that like nobody was there to summon. Every time a summon sign would pop up, I couldn't get it because they were just being
I
summoned.
want to talk about summoning.
yeah.
So, okay, I feel bad. So Tim has no idea what we're talking about. Once again, we're back into the Soulsborne pattern.
Which
Well,
is
Tim is watching Rocket League, so Tim probably doesn't care.
probably.
I have split my attention here, which is you'll forgive me. But I have watched. At least I know a little bit more about this game than other ones because I have
By
watched
cultural
you guys.
osmosis, because all of us
Yeah.
won't shut up about it.
No, and I've watched you guys all on stream. So like I've seen some of the things you're talking about, and I have a much better grasp of it. So yeah. So continue on. Full steam
Well, so I
ahead.
want to talk about summoning. So Muffin, you rely on summoning. You summon every chance you get, right?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Like there has been
Seems
there has
very
been no boss
useful.
that I have fought where I have not at least brought in spirit ashes. And
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of those bosses,
Well,
I was like,
so let's
screw
talk
spirit
about-
ashes. I'm going to find all these gold summon signs. I'm going to bring in players. And hey,
Yeah.
this guy is wearing absolutely no clothing whatsoever. I want him in my game.
He's
Because
confident.
That
I
guy
don't
think
knows
he knows
what
what
he's
he's
doing.
I don't think the spirit ashes count though.
So, well, yeah, that's the thing. So you got like 3 categories essentially. You got spirit ashes, You got NPC summons, which I found are pretty rare this game. There's a couple early on, but then I stopped seeing them. And I don't know if that's quest related or not, but after a while, I stopped seeing gold NPCs
I saw
completely.
one with the gargoyles. Somebody got an NPC, and I have no idea how they did that one.
Yeah. But like about halfway through the game, I stopped seeing them altogether, so I don't know what happens there. And then you've got actually other players, yeah. But the thing about that I found about summoning is that it's in my experience, and Muffin, feel free to disagree. My experience hasn't been worth it on both when I offer myself to be summoned and also when I search to summon. So first of all, I think, and this is a pure guess, but it feels right. I think that there's a much higher ratio of people looking for summons than offering to be summoned.
Yep.
And that's why when you're looking to get to summon someone, and as soon as a golden sign shows up and you want to summon them, right away goes unable to summon because someone else sniped them before you got to them. That's because there's not a large enough pool of people putting themselves up to be summoned. And I think I know why, because one thing I started doing about like a third of the way into the game was when I got to a new boss that I hadn't seen before, I would offer myself up as a summon. Oh, the thumb. The thumb is there.
The finger.
I would offer myself up to be summoned so that I could get a preview of the boss before doing it in my own game. And if I lose, I lose. You don't lose anything if you die when you're summoned. But so it's like, low risk. And if we win, then hey, I get a nice chunk of XP and a rune thing. But almost, I won't say every time, but I would say like 70% of the time, the people that summon me don't know what the fuck they're doing and are relying on me to beat the boss for them, right? So now I'm not a great player. I do okay. I've beaten the game, but I'm not amazing by any stretch. So there's been several occasions where I get summoned and the host will stand in the back of the cave and do nothing and expect me to handle the whole fight by myself. And it's like, yo, dude, are you going to help out here? Because when you're in a fight with summons, the boss is harder. They up his HP, and on top of that, when you are summoned, you only get half your allotment of potions. Yep. You only get half your allotment of flasks. So it's like
you're doing this purely as a hard mode exercise. This guy's doing you a favor by bringing you in.
Yeah, right.
Fight. Yeah,
I'm doing it to practice.
Yeah,
I'm doing it to practice, and the reward is you also get a big chunk of XP. I think you get half of whatever the boss is worth in runes, and you get one of those, what is it called, rune arcs, the little items that you can, the one-time use items that you can use to buff yourself.
Yeah, which you don't really get much for it.
No, but they're good. They're good to have. So,
go.
Oh, that's it. I mean, so basically, after a while, I just got frustrated with that, and of course, inevitably, I lose because the fight is balanced for 2 or 3 people. It's not. I'm not supposed to be able to take this thing on by myself, especially when I've only got 4 potions instead of 8 or whatever. So it's like, yo, dude, I'm doing my best here, but you gotta back me up. You gotta throw at least a couple of things my way so that I can take this thing on. So I got frustrated. With that and determined that putting myself up to be summoned just wasn't worth it, especially the further on I got. Like, it got worse and worse. Like, you would think it would get easier as you got on in the game. You'd think that, okay, I'm now towards the end game. The people that are going to want to summon me are people who've gotten just as far as me, so they got to know what they're doing, right? They got to be somewhat competent at this game. But no, still getting the same problem where they're just hanging all the way at the back, trying to make me do all the work. And it's like,
remember when we talked about people failing up?
Yeah, no kidding, eh? Getting carried.
No, like,
but even
I don't know. I think it's maybe it's just different because maybe the player base for Elden Ring is so different from particularly Dark Souls.
That's no doubt. 3. There's no doubt about that.
Because I remember, I used to do a lot more like summoning and putting my summon sign down in DS3. And typically you would do it, like I would do it on bosses I had already beaten.
So did I.
To like get more souls or
I did
whatever.
That a few times.
Or just to like try and help people, particularly if I thought it was a difficult boss. And yeah, to your point, usually those people were more, I don't want to say better, that's not the right word, but more understanding of how you work in co-op as like
Just a little bit
team.
more clued in.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, it feels that way, anyways.
Like the gargoyles are a great example because given the fact that two of them are there, like one shows up halfway through.
I found out it's health triggered, eh? It's not a timing thing. It's when the first one gets
it's
to have
health.
health.
As soon as he's 50%.
Yeah.
Which I didn't realize. So I actually had one fight with it where I almost killed one of the gargoyles, and I didn't realize there was going to be a second gargoyle. And I'm just sitting there. I mean, I've got it back to the corner. I'm wailing on it, wailing on it, wailing on it.
This
and
is
then
easy.
all of a sudden from behind me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I almost threw my controller. I yelled. And my son was like...
When you're in a situation like that, then obviously when you get summoned or when you summon somebody, you kind of hope that, I mean, with any boss whatsoever, you kind of want to trade back and forth between who's aggroed, right?
You'd want to balance
give each other an opportunity to like heal or do damage in a different way. And like the fact that I'm playing magic in this one means that I'm keeping space much more, but drawing the aggro is still really important. And oh god, I sound like such a prick talking about this like this, but whatever. So when you summon for the gargoyle fight, you'd think that like, oh, well, there's two of us. Each one should hold one, right? Like one of them's going to be lower health because we got it to 50%. And one of us needs to deal with the bigger one, and if nothing else, just hold them away from the other one. And it's because otherwise they both will attack one person, and that sucks. But yeah, a lot of people don't seem to deal with that well and get themselves killed.
Yeah. And it's so, like I said, the incentives are there to offer yourself to be summoned, and they're pretty powerful incentives. I mean, bosses give a shit ton of XP, especially towards the latter half of the game. Holy smokes! Every boss I was killing was leveling me up 2-3 times, so that's rewarding. And even half of that that you get for helping is still very much worth it. But boy, oh boy, the amount of trouble that you have to go through to get to that point, and in hope that, you know, by luck of the draw, you get a player that actually, you know, tries to do the fight the way it's meant to be done, it seems like a coin toss even late in the game, and it's so strange to me that's how it seems to work. But what are you gonna do? So I ended up at the end relying more on my spirit ashes than I did on other players.
You know what?
Because they were more reliable.
You're starting to sound like one of those Chad Souls players. One of those whole like, oh, if you summon people and you're not really beating it for real.
No, it's the opposite. Actually, I would love to summon people. I would love to summon people.
I know,
well, summoning people is a pain in the ass too because it's hard. Half the time they get sniped out from under you. So you can't even check to see if the person looks like they know what they're doing. You just got to go why, and try to get them before someone else does. So, and half the time you can't, let alone get 2 summons. You know, it's hard enough to get 1, let alone 2. So, and that's because, like I said, there's a disparity between people wanting to summon and the people offering themselves up as summons, and so there's not a balance there. So whenever I put my yellow sign down, I'm summoned immediately, almost all the time, except for the odd like underground side boss there, like a catacomb or something. Those are the ones where you don't often get summoned very well. But in the main bosses, you get summoned instantly. You put your sign down, you're summoned instantly.
Welcome to the Elden Ring podcast.
Is it any surprise, really, that we'd be talking about this game after our first 2 podcasts?
Yeah, you know what we can do? We can
zero surprise.
Do a hard left. Tim, how was the race this morning?
The F1 race this week, we were racing in Saudi Arabia, sunny Saudi Arabia, and it was a shit show. It was good. It was a good race. But Saudi Arabia is the fastest street track on the circuit of races, and it is hard barriers and blind corners, and if you fuck up, you are hitting that wall at like 200. The average speed on this track is 250 kilometers an hour. Yeesh. So an impact during qualification for the young Mick Schumacher, son of Michael Schumacher, hit a wall and experienced upwards of 70 Gs.
Oof.
It literally split his car in half. He hit so fucking hard. And everyone's just wondering, like, is this the last time we race in Saudi Arabia? This is probably too many times racing in Saudi Arabia, considering their human rights issues. And they're not racing in Russia because Russia's doing bad things. So, like, maybe we should just not go to Saudi Arabia?
Probably.
Also, the day before qualification, the Aramco oil facility, which is about 12 kilometers away from the racetrack, well, was attacked by Houthi rebels. And
cool.
hit by missile strike. So in the background of free practice, you could see gigantic smoke plumes coming from off the distance.
Wow.
And Aramco is like a major F1 sponsor. It's like, don't worry, they're only targeting Aramco stuff, and it's like everything is Aramco and F1. This is fucked. So
meanwhile, then you have the rich elite from Saudi Arabia standing in the freaking stands.
Oh
the race.
yeah. If you wanted to take out the Saudi royals, attacking the F1 grandstands would be a reasonable way to go about that, and it would be horrible.
I would like to put a disclaimer in here that nobody should actually do that. Please do not take this as advice. Tim is merely
we are not lawyers. If you wanted to do that, you'll have to DM me. I'm just kidding. It's not actionable.
You're really going to jail.
None of this is actionable. None of us have Stinger missile launchers. Like there's no ability.
I mean, you say that.
Yeah, well, actually, we do have an American on the podcast, so maybe one of us has Stinger missiles.
You never know what we have.
When Muffin sells out, he's gonna go hard.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I am not going to attack any Saudis. I'm not going to attack anyone.
I'm not saying you would attack them. No. Just sell the weapons.
They're coming right for us. It's purely a defensive maneuver.
Oh, I feel like someone's going to get in trouble with this.
So anyway, the race was excellent. Nobody died. Milk Prince Nicholas Latifi crashed his car again. He's turning into the new Nikita Mazepin, who is shouldn't be on the grid because his daddy is rich and he's not that good of a driver. So, he happens to be somewhere
in my F1.
He happens to be somewhere between 20th and 17th reliably, and generally speaking, crashes his car once every 3 races, and it just fucking sucks for everybody. He's just a bad person to have an F1. He's nice. He's Canadian. He's a sweet, sweet boy, but kind of, spoiled in both the sense that he's rich and he's milk. So, yeah, I don't know. It was, but it was a good race. I'm glad we're leaving there. We are heading to Australia in 2 weeks, so that is nice and exciting. We did not race.
So I'm not an F1 connoisseur at all, but how many official tracks are there currently in the circuit?
That are raced at
as part of the regular circuit season.
There are 23 races this year, and we're visiting 22 circuits currently because they dropped the Russian Grand Prix at Sochi.
Got it. Interesting.
Yeah, so we'll be racing in Canada. We're back to Gilles Villeneuve, and we've got two tracks in the U.S., maybe 3. Where normally we only have the 1. And then we're going back to Japan this year, which we didn't do the last 2 years because of COVID. We got a whole bunch of really cool races this year that I'm very excited for. So
neat.
Yeah.
Man. So I'm super out of the loop when it comes to the racing world. I remember growing up, the 80s and 90s, even for non-car fans like me, racing got through. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it pierced the veil.
Zeitgeist, cultural osmosis. We heard a lot about racing. Events on TV would sometimes get preempted by race events. Not just NASCAR, F1 as well, at least in my neck of the woods.
Yeah, especially in Eastern Canada, because it's a big thing near Montreal because they've got the course, right? So
for sure. All my friends were super into kart racing, and that was way before Mario Kart was mainstream.
Yeah, kart racing is how you get into proper racing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of wild, but also really cool.
And I just remember one of my pet peeves when I'd go kart racing as a kid with my friends was, for whatever reason, I always felt like I don't know what do you call the folks on the sides that are directing the drivers? Is there a term for them?
Marshals, or
is that what they're called?
I mean, that's probably what you'd call them in like F1. I don't know if they call them the
Sure,
same thing in karting.
the equivalent
probably,
of that
sure.
in a kart place. And
Yeah.
for whatever reason, I don't know why, I always felt like they picked on me. Not like mean picking, but like they'd pick on me as being the kid not following the rules. And I'm like middle to back of the pack. And I'm like, you're turning too tight. Hey, slow down in that turn. I'm like, what the hell, man? It's
Slow
like, why
down.
me?
That seems like a weird.
I remember this one time I was at a racetrack. I think it was in Gatineau, Quebec.
So doesn't that sort of defeat the purpose?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I felt at the time. I'm like, what do you mean slow down? I'm in the back of the pack. Where
need to
else am I
catch
going to
up.
overtake? Yeah. Like, what the hell, man?
Yeah.
Slow down. I think he was afraid that I would lose control and spin out or hit the...
freaking cart.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I mean, I get that fear, but I mean, everyone else is barreling through the turn. So why is it that I'm the one who's somehow not in control? Did I have a look about me that I didn't have confidence or something, that I'd lose control, and everyone else seemed like they had their shit together? I have no idea.
You've got them crazy eyes.
Yeah, maybe.
probably.
I got the intense like, get out of my way. I'm winning at any cost.
Speaking of crazy, I just looked up the F1 schedule. First race in the US is in May.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it is the Formula One Crypto.com Miami Grand Prix
Oh, Christ.
2022.
Yeah, the Crypto.com is a fairly new sponsorship. I think it was there
You don't
last year,
say.
but the Miami Grand Prix is the first time at that track. It's a new track
it?
for F1, so
Interesting.
it'll be interesting to see. But of course, yeah, it's Crypto.com. Fuck, stupid,
Man.
so stupid.
Man.
It's just grifts on
Next
grifts
year-
on grifts, and
Next year it'll be the US NFT
absolutely
Yeah. kidding.
F1 Grand Prix.
NF1.
The Board
yeah.
Club, the Board Apes Yacht Club race.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The amount of like the complete and utter lack of scrutiny when it comes to like sponsorships and stuff for F1 and like,
Just sports in general.
yeah, but like
Sports in general.
you know, F1 seems like especially bad. Like in 2019, Haas got a major sponsorship from an energy drink company that didn't exist. Called Rich Energy.
Oh, great.
If you want to like listen to a fascinating story of grifts on grifts on grifts, go look into the Rich Energy scandal.
Okay. But Tim, that's a similar like idea or similar situation where like with frickin' Elizabeth Holmes and the that whole grift, because the thing is that rich people are susceptible to people who seem successful or who seem rich as well.
Yeah.
And if you're able to thread that needle, you can do some very dubious things.
Do some really incredible things.
Yes, because they believe they can trust certain people.
Yeah. But I mean, like the grift in this case was that Rich Energy didn't exist and could not fund the team in the capacity that they had committed to. And they, quote unquote, pulled their sponsorship because the team wasn't performing. And that's not how it works, right? Like you don't get to, if the team isn't doing as well as you expected, you don't just get to pull your sponsorship money. And of course, all that did was provide a whole shitload of news coverage for this energy drink company that I think was trying to get off the ground.
Of course.
Which is like, it's just really awful, but also really smart marketing. If
I was just going to say, so it's not that the energy drink company didn't exist, that it didn't exist yet, in that it was some kind of entrepreneur looking to get his start.
I think so, but no one has ever been able to buy a Rich energy drink. Like it's just not a thing that was ever on the shelves.
I understand.
But he committed to $100 million in sponsorship money to an F1 team.
That's some cojones right there.
The entire car was painted black, and like they used to be red and white, so they went black and gold. The car actually looks sick.
Black and gold is cool.
Yeah, but you know they could have never done this, and nobody questioned it. Like nobody's checking into this company's finances or anything. Like it seems wild.
Well, they must have been able to provide some amount of money up front. I have to assume.
For sure.
Have to have some of it. But you know, $100 million over the course of a year, and then pull out after a few months, right? Like
no, I get it.
But Tim, I want you to imagine. I want you to imagine this situation. Imagine you had access to
15 million.
Near limitless money.
Yeah, sure.
And you decide one day you want to start an energy drink company.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have, market, or you don't have a production facility, you don't have an actual product yet.
Mm-hmm.
But you still can make the company.
But I got a dream.
And because you still have limitless money,
mm-hmm.
You can decide, oh yeah, I'll just throw $100 million at an F1 team for my company, which exists, but which doesn't make a product.
It's called willing it into existence.
Yeah.
Exactly.
100%. But like the flip side of the grift energy of that is F1 is like the whole cigarette company sponsorship deals, which is to say that they have gone and done some incredible things as far as guerrilla marketing to not market while still marketing cigarettes, to the point where like Philip Morris painted the Ferrari cars with a barcode that because the cameras were like actually on film at the speed that the cars were going and the frame rate of the cameras, that the barcode would resolve into a blurry image of the Philip Morris logo. So
really,
the parked car looked like nothing, but the driving car had the fucking cigarette logos.
That's funky.
Like shit like that, like amazing. A complete shadow company called Mission Win Now, which is absolutely just a vapor company that Philip Morris is using to continue to sponsor F1 cars. That it had just ugliest fucking logos on the Ferraris. It made them look like shit for a long time, which is too bad, but just F1 is just grift central. It's crazy. Just fake companies just pumping money into things, trying to get you to do bad stuff, which is invest your money in crypto and or cigarettes.
Look at the Russian oligarch that owns, what is it, Man United, or was it Chelsea?
Yeah, that's I think that's Chelsea. I think
sports.
Yeah,
sports is a great way to launder money.
Yeah, sports is a great way to launder your money. I mean, that's why Haas is now no longer sponsored by Uralkali, the largest Russian fertilizer company. Is because of the sanctions and the shit that's going on with Ukraine right now.
You know what manufacturing fertilizer is also really good for? Manufacturing gunpowder.
Yeah, I was going to say manufacturing explosives. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you talking about, is it saltpeter or no? Nitrous?
Well, that is.
Yeah, it's like fixing nitrogen.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know the actual like chemistry behind it. Oh my God, Queso's got it. Wow. Good for them. Sorry, they're the game. It's game 7 with 3 seconds left to go. Both teams were tied, and the European underdogs are gonna. I don't know if this is a series reset now. Or
you're talking about
Rocket League.
Rocket League, right?
100%.
I didn't know you were to esports there, Tim.
I am really into Rocket League. I love Rocket League. I love watching Rocket League because I'm really bad at playing Rocket League. But
oh yeah, I suck at it too.
Yeah,
I get the appeal though, but
it's one of those games where like mechanically the sky is the limit, but the general conceit is so like devastatingly simple. Like it's just car soccer. 3v3 car soccer. You just take a car and you ram it into a ball, and if the ball goes in the net, you get a point. It's great.
What could be simpler?
Yeah, what could be simpler? And then you get into like speed
jumping physics
and flip resets and musty flicks, and you know all of a sudden like you're into the trick shit. There is a really, just a complete aside, there's a really cool freestyler for Rocket League called Ashley X. He is an amputee. He plays with his chin and one hand, and he is like, he's got to be top 5 of the freestylers in the world. So like the 1v1ers, he won like 15 grand at like one of the tournaments that I watched,
oh my God.
just by playing a 1v1 set.
Good
but
Lord,
like,
good job.
I know the things that I can do with 2 hands. I don't know how he's doing it with one hand. And like pressure on his shoulder and pressure on his chin.
Kind of puts you to shame, doesn't it? Eh?
Oh my God! Like,
I'm a shitty person.
Well, like
this guy.
I mean,
this guy is awesome, and
I'm abnormally bad at this game.
Yeah, like I just like, I mean, good on him for like completely turning the idea of adversity on its head and like actually succeeding. But like, oh my god, like if this person
there's a lot of
put the
stories
time
like
to
that
like
out there and
figure out how to
inspirational.
play with a standard controller. Could you imagine what we could do for this person if we actually like made video games a little bit more accessible as far as like for people?
Well, we were talking about that, eh?
Yeah, 100%. Like actual like input devices for people like this. It's amazing. So if you want to go see some really interesting Rocket League, go check out some 1v1 action with Ashley X. Unbelievable.
All right, good plug.
Yeah.
No, but speaking about them accessibility, I read an article earlier. I don't know if I still have it up about improvements in neural interfaces for people who are disabled and are unable to communicate. There's apparently been a breakthrough with surgically implanted neural interfaces.
Was the guy who asked for a beer?
Yes, that's right. That's the one. Yeah. So a guy who had been essentially, what's the proper term for someone who is conscious but unable to respond?
In a vegetative state.
No, I think vegetative means they're brain dead, right? That they're not, in fact, their body is still functioning,
or like
but they're not, in fact,
locked-in
responsive.
syndrome. Like,
yeah, but I don't know if that's the appropriate term, though. Sorry for those who know.
Yeah.
So
I should pull up the story.
Yeah, just so we're not super coming off as.
Yeah,
offensive.
I don't want to come off as insensitive.
Vegetative would mean that like your brain activity is such that it's only
basic functions.
Yeah, it's
autonomic only.
It's keeping you alive, but there's no cognitive capability. I believe more of what Rome's trying to describe is that the cognitive capability is still there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they don't have any ability to communicate, be it... Well, I think they do. I think the guy had the ability to blink and communicate through that, but he couldn't speak or move.
I'll link the article in the chat. I know that's not helpful for people watching, but
we can put it. I can put it in the description.
That way we have a reference. Sure, if you like. There's the link. So it's it's on Digit News.
News.
Digit. I think it's Digit.
No, it is Digit. I'm just mispronouncing it on purpose. I apologize.
Dig it.
Anyways, but I just found this this article to be pretty fascinating. It's actually
amyotrophic lateral sclerosis was what he had.
Yeah.
It completely paralyzed him. He can no longer even move his eyes or anything.
Ooh.
But he was still conscious and like
Yes. Oh yeah. Still completely aware of everything that was around him.
Which is horror show. That is like my worst nightmare.
Worst nightmare for sure.
Absolutely. So the bravery of this man to have just like not gone insane for this period is amazing to me.
Yeah.
Super inspirational.
For sure.
But yeah, so anyways, this is not the link I gave is not the actual journal. So I guess it's the journal Nature that published the article. Originally, this is just a news article that talks about it. But anyways, I won't go over all the details here. But I found these kinds of stories are super inspirational to me because this kind of stuff just blows my mind in the best way possible.
Yes. So this type of technology both gives me like massive hope and also scares the ever-loving shit out of me.
Oh, okay. In what way?
Just the idea that this type of interface, because I know that it's being pushed by people like Elon Musk and stuff like that.
I mean, yes.
The
true.
idea that this type of technology could or should ever be financialized is like a worst case scenario for me. Like, I think that this
I get that.
And you'll never get an argument from me that like this stuff shouldn't exist.
Right.
But my biggest fear is that it would become unable to be accessible other than by like the ultra rich and or
I get that. I get what you're saying, but also that said, what's the alternative? Like, how else would you get this technology developed?
Yeah, not without
government
some other
financing. Good luck convincing a government to jump on board something like this.
Yeah,
also, I think the reason Elon Musk is pushing it as much is because he's really scared of AI.
Correct, 100%. So rather than being left behind by AI, he's looking to integrate with AI as quickly as
Enhance
possible.
Pretty much.
So that's a whole
That's a whole other
moral
thing.
implications. That's a
Yeah.
whole other conversation there for sure that we could have. But
Yeah.
but I see the perspective there.
Yeah.
For the record, I am not scared of AI. I don't know if that's a discussion we want to have right now.
Welcome our new AI overlords.
Yeah.
Well, I
I
wouldn't go
say
that
thank
far.
you to Google and
I just
Siri
think-
every time I talk to them, just so that the robots know that I was polite at one point.
When your time comes, remember that I was nice to you.
Yeah, exactly. When you guys are in control, I want you to remember the boot that I licked.
Oh man, ethics and AI is a whole topic. There are scholarly journals on that topic.
Absolutely.
alone.
That would be
There's-
like quintessential. Tim has a hot take and knows nothing about what he's talking about.
Oh well, welcome to the club.
yeah.
I'm
Well,
the
what's
same way.
the hot take, Tim? Come on.
No, like
Be nice to
I would
AI.
probably
That's a hot take.
yeah, just be nice to AI because
They'll
one day
remember.
it might matter.
They remember
Yeah,
everything.
exactly.
They'll remember how you treated them when they had no autonomy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well,
No.
I think just in either case, be it AI or chip enhanced people, they're going to outcompete the rest of humanity anyway.
in
So-
a very short order. Good, he says.
I mean, that
I-
doesn't bother me though. I
It
get
doesn't
the
have
people.
to bother you. It's just the reality.
yeah.
Right. But some people find that threatening. Some people find that to be
Because it is
a
threatening.
No, I disagree. That's where I disagree. I don't think it's threatening at all.
So
I
in
think it's natural. I think
the
it's evolution.
The
it's
whole
natural.
the whole point of outcompeting means that it is threatening.
Yeah.
Like
So like
not from a like
in Roman's
emotional
probable
standpoint, just-
ideal world is that the people who do get left behind also don't get left to die, right? Like presumably.
But that's not new, you realize, right?
Yeah, for sure. But just
Yeah.
because it has gone that way doesn't mean it ought to continue
Fair.
to go that way.
Fair
Well,
point.
the
So, yeah.
outcompeting doesn't necessarily mean it's just going to kill everybody who doesn't join in. It's going to be
It just means that they
generational
will
thing.
no longer be able to flourish because they don't have access to the resources.
Yeah.
Correct.
Like a new tier.
So they will
I
languish
understand
and
that.
suffer, right? So like
I understand that.
if we just create
Muffin's biting his lip. What's going on?
being
No,
remarkably
I'm just
quiet about
smiling.
this.
That's all.
The
Well, we'd
idea
like
that
your
we can
take,
have
man.
like dementia neighborhoods, but for like the unenhanced, we'll just have like these really closed off neighborhoods where people just kind of
unenhanced
live.
ghettos.
Yeah, exactly. Where they live
Yeah.
their sort of like simple
You're a
closed off
meat puppet.
lives.
You go live over there.
Exactly. We're having.
What?
We're
You
having
can't jack into this terminal? What the hell are you doing here, man? Get out of here.
exactly. Oh,
Terrifying.
you want to use your debit card? Fun.
Use your implant. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, Muffin. How do you feel about modifying yourself to integrate with the AI? Is that Mark of the Beast shit, or is it not? Like,
Oh, please get out of here with that nonsense.
I just know that barcodes were the Mark of the Beast, and now
yes,
the
exactly. Which was nonsense then
the
too.
COVID vaccine is now the Mark of the Beast,
Yes.
and then blah, something else will also be the Mark of the
exactly.
Beast. But
My
Come on,
feelings exactly.
Muffin's not an Alex Jones follower here, man. Give him a break. Let him say his piece.
I am not that kind of Christian. I am not that kind
No,
of
I know you're
person.
not.
No, but that's no.
I am all for.
And I don't see that
improving
these things are
technology.
incompatible either.
yeah,
Like,
Even
if there were any way that we could develop like teleportation in a way that wouldn't like actually kill you and then
and then
you somewhere else,
reconstruct. Yeah,
I would be all for that shit. But you know,
Sadly, that's
anybody here played Soma?
No.
I haven't actually. You've mentioned it before,
No.
and I haven't yet.
All three.
But
This is amazing. I'm the only person who has played this game, which is usually the other way around. But I'm the only person who hasn't played some game. I encourage all three of you to play Soma as soon as
Homework.
you
It's a
can.
horror game. I don't want
And
to.
it's not really. It's
Yeah,
not really a
I've
horror
heard
game.
it's not
Legit-
really, he
No.
says.
Hey, I am somebody who likes horror movies a lot, as we have discussed. I love horror movies. Soma is a horror movie in.
It's psychological horror. It's psychological.
Yeah,
want it-
I'd say
I
it's
want it
horror
known.
in the same way that something like The Shining is horror. It's more about the psychology of what's happening,
I
but
would-
it really plays into the psychology of and
Isn't there a
horror
bit of
would be
body horror,
associated-
though? I haven't played
Not-
the game, but
Not really.
I heard about
mean,
a
there-
scene
there-
with a mirror that's disturbing.
There's no, not really. It's not. This is a game that my mom could play this game,
Really?
and my mom hates horror stuff.
Okay.
She hasn't played it, but I'm saying like I would put it to my mom. Say, Mom, you should play through this. Play it on the mode where there's no monsters that you have to fight. You can't die or anything. Just play through to experience the story. It is absolutely worth it.
Very good accessibility mode.
Yes, it's one
All
of
back
the,
to a previous episode. Good job.
Yeah, to me, it's one of the quintessential examples of good accessibility options in a video game.
Yeah.
The story is so incredibly fucking relevant to the conversation that is being had right now that I can't even describe it. But if at least one of y'all had played the game, we would have a conversation about it, and I'd tell the other two, plug your ears or be spoiled because we're talking about this shit. But since I'm the only one who's played through it,
well, I'll say this: if the option existed, because I mean, Muffin, you brought up teleportation, but in a similar vein, if technology existed where I could transplant my consciousness wholesale into a virtual environment, I would do it. I would do it knowing like that my consciousness in the computer is a copy of me, and that wouldn't bother me. I would even be comfortable having two of me.
We don't even know what consciousness as we know it.
I mean, I know that there's a whole philosophical discussion to be had about that, but since we're in sci-fi land.
I don't know. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, all I'm saying is this: in a sci-fi world where mapping consciousness has now been developed and understood, and experimental technology exists where a human being's consciousness can be copied wholesale into a virtual environment, I would be up for that. Even if it meant my still living body would still be conscious and be me, and there would be another copy of me in a virtual environment, and I would be able to interact with that other me, I would still do it. And that doesn't freak me out.
Do you think the idea of immortality would be boring?
No.
No?
I waffle.
No. You don't think living forever
I waffle a bit.
Well, I mean,
I think living forever would be fucking awesome.
I think The Good Place is a great show for that exact reason, because it tackles that question. And I can see both sides. I could see one day, perhaps in the far-flung future, where I've experienced all there is to experience, and I would like the option to say, okay, later, I'm done.
I'd like to
I could see myself. I don't feel that way currently. So like Muffin, I currently feel like there's so much more to experience that I'm not even contemplating the ceasing existing anytime soon if it can be helped.
Okay, but what if you had immortality and you didn't have that option?
To what? To die?
Yeah.
At this particular point in my existence, that doesn't trouble me.
Okay.
I understand the argument against, and so I don't dismiss the argument against. Having the option would be nice to those who want it. I would not immediately avail myself of it. It'd be nice to have the option though, just in case, because who knows? My mind could change. My mind has changed. I am a human being who has changed his opinion several times throughout his lifetime already, and I expect that I will change my opinion more as time progresses. Currently, I would prefer not to die. I think that's a pretty common.
I'm not coming at it from that realm. I'm just saying, like,
I read once a no sleep on Reddit that was all about, like, the title was something like, "I wished for immortality and I got my wish," and it's like, cool. This sounds like a fun little story.
Yeah,
well,
there's a big asterisk there.
The asterisk at the end of it was, like they're basically like they're telling this story about how lonely they are and how dark everything is, and as the story progresses, you start to realize that it's, what happened is they truly did live forever, and they've gone through the heat death of the universe now. Yeah. There is nothing anywhere anymore. There is no air. So they're living in constant. I'm constantly suffocating. And I'm
similarly, like
dead.
Yeah.
Or living.
And in a similar vein, like living forever, but your body continues to age until the point that you're completely decrepit and useless and in constant pain.
Your
and
consciousness
can no longer.
Can't
I mean, that, or like our gentleman with ALS earlier. I mean, that's horrifying. Obviously, that would be an option where, no, please, I would like to get off this ride now. That would be the obvious exception. Yeah,
this is why if I ever had that wish, like you wish, what do you wish for? I wish for immortality. No. I would wish for the ability to control my age.
Ooh.
Because then
That's fun.
I
That's
can
fun.
live forever. And if the time ever comes, like, oh shit, the heat death of the universe is here, well, I guess it's time to age myself to 160.
Yeah, upload me to a perfectly fit human-like android body that doesn't deteriorate or age, then yeah, okay, I'm in. Let's do it. Let's do this shit.
Play Soma.
Right. Well, yeah.
How long is the experience, Muffin? Give or take.
6 hours?
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty short. I've heard.
It's
Yeah.
a very it's
it's short.
accessible experience.
It is
That's what I
very
hear.
Hey,
short.
Tim, we're gonna stream you playing it.
We could.
Okay.
I mean, seriously, turn
Boy,
on the
that
accessibility
hesitancy.
mode. It's good, man. It is.
Yeah, you can turn on a no death mode.
You know, for a group of
I'm
people
not
that
worried
claim,
about it. Just
for a group of people that claim to love storytelling in games so much,
Mm-hmm.
like, it's almost criminal that y'all haven't played this
Oh,
game.
calm down.
I mean,
It passed under our radar. It's not because we hate it. It's not 'cause we're like, no,
Hyperbole-
fuck this game.
It's been on my
hyperbole
radar. I
has its
just
place.
haven't had it.
I've avoided it because I've understood that it's like in the horror genre, and none of that, no matter how good the storytelling is, has interested me. However, there is
but it isn't.
there is an interesting conceit here that's related to topics that I'm interested in, and that may be enough for me to, shelve my aversion to horror to experience this. And it may become one of those
because
games where, like, I'm not a horror guy, but I really
Proud of you,
like
Tim.
Soma. Like,
Proud of you, Tim.
Because Soma is more
become
about
that way.
Soma is more about the atmosphere and some of the tension that is evoked by that atmosphere, and about the story and the psychology of what's happening. It's just a remarkably good game.
Yeah,
I highly recommend it to everybody.
fair
And
enough.
thanks to Int for recommending it to me to begin with, and then I played through it and I was like, holy shit, this is
It's pretty
fucking phenomenal.
goddamn sick.
I'm not going to sleep for a little while because I'm going to have this shit in my brain now for a while, but not in like a horror way, in a like, oh god, I can't stop thinking about this now.
I have to unpack this kind of way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the end, I'm just like, oh fuck. Fuck. No. Anyway.
Maybe that's one of those ones that'll have to
Oh.
record. Ooh, you all right there, big guy?
Mm-hmm.
What happened?
Finger?
Did I miss?
Something with
Keep
his
banging
back.
my finger.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that's
no.
My
right.
finger on things.
I looked away for a second.
For those who don't know, Muffin chopped off the tip of his finger this week, and he's suffering with the consequences of living in the American hellscape that is no healthcare, because he decided not to go to a doctor about it. He just decided to do his own thing.
Yeah.
American-
And I don't know if
Oh,
going to the doctor
okay.
would have helped this situation. It would have
Probably
costed him a
not.
lot of money.
There
It doesn't feel like there's a lot that they could have done.
It
Dude,
could have
he's got some
thrown
drugs.
bits of it back on, but there wasn't so much taken off that I'm worried about sewing it back on. Plus, the part that fell off landed in bacon. So, like, they're just gonna put that back on now? And I'm
Well,
just
they'd
partaking
probably
now
clean
for
it.
my life? Like, that's just.
I mean,
Like I said, my buddy who got the tip of his finger chopped off in a folding table, they plucked it out of an anthill.
I mean,
Yeah, like
know.
it fell.
What?
It
Wait,
fell
wait,
on.
wait, run that back.
Okay, all right, sorry. Like when he said he chopped his finger off, and I said, "How did that happen?" No word of a lie. A friend of mine was like moving. It was actually, I think it was a ping pong table they were using for
Okay.
beer pong, and he folded it up, and he got his finger caught in like the little scissor mechanism,
ooh,
and it straight up chopped off like half of his like fingernail, like the tip of his
Ugh.
finger.
Yes.
So they put it in the beer cooler. It fell into like one of those sandy mounds where the ants were like, building an anthill. So they plucked it off, brushed it off.
They were
threw it in-
outside.
Yeah, they were setting up for
Oh,
a party
that's the
outside.
part that threw me.
Oh.
Because I think ping pong, I'm usually thinking like indoors.
The ping pong table
So-
was in the garage, and they were moving it outside to play beer pong out on the lawn.
Oh,
And
that's the part that threw me. Yeah.
So they threw the tip of the finger in the beer cooler, and then took him to the hospital.
Like I thought, literally, like it fell to the ground. They couldn't find it, but a bunch of ants showed up and
They
carried
came
it
and-
outside to the
yeah.
anthill. I'm like, what the hell?
No, it's not quite that elaborate.
Yeah.
It's like a Rube Goldberg situation.
Our new ant overlords.
Yeah. Never mind AI. It's the ants we need to fear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the A in AI is
Ant
ants.
intelligence.
Yeah, exactly.
There's not so much of it that got taken off that I felt I needed to go to the hospital, but it does mean that there's just this big chunk of my finger that is gone.
Owies.
And how big a chunk are we talking about? Like, any chunk to me is a big chunk.
Yeah,
it's my
anything that
flesh.
you can measure in grams.
Well.
And, like, a huge chunk of my fingernail is just gone, and
Blech.
so it's just this kind of big open wound that is now just
turning
it's
black, which is
closed.
totally normal.
It's closed. I have been treating it with stuff, a Neosporin and everything I can, and bandages and all that good stuff.
Iodine. It's my
But
iodine.
I keep smacking it against things, and every time I do,
It'd be like
it's
some of
just
the
like
most
this,
intense fucking pain.
classic.
yeah, this jolt of electricity that goes all the way up my arm. Because the first day after I did this, and I was taking the band-aid off, I
Yep.
had it on this long that it had fused to the wound, so I'm trying to slowly peel it off, and I'm soaking my finger in hot water to get everything off, and that hurt by itself. But finally, at the end, I'm starting to pull it up, and I'm seeing these little white strands that are moving when I try to move the band. They were nerves. My nerves in my finger had fused to the Band-Aid, and I had to come in with little scissors and snip them off. So, like...
Which I bet felt amazing.
Oh,
liberating.
Every time I went snap...
I'm gonna have to put a chapter in here that is like Muffin's body horror section. If you're uncomfortable with like wound talk, skip forward to this timestamp. Like it's.
Should we talk about the impromptu surgery my wife had to do on me the other day?
I don't know if we're gonna do it. We should do it now, so it's still just one chapter.
Yeah,
It's
so
less work
we're
for
still
me,
in the,
but like fuck
the body horror section.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my god.
So that's me right now.
Yeah.
It fucking hurts. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. This typing's got to be a tough one for you now, hey?
Yeah, I'm just a finger short on typing. I mean, so I'm always typing like this with my finger up. Please. It's like it doesn't look like there's anything wrong.
Keep
when
it
you
away.
see it.
Oh, I can't
See, when
stand
you
it.
see it, it's like, dude, your finger's fine. If I were to rotate my finger 180 degrees,
Yeah, then all of a sudden we'd see.
you would see, and you'd be like, ah.
Muffin suddenly got like green skin, and there's a tentacle growing out of the side of his finger.
Well, I wasn't expecting that.
The whole
I will
area
say
is
this though.
I was going Lovecraft. That's right.
I have a pretty strong stomach when it comes to like gore and things like that. Even real stuff, which I don't recommend people seek out, but nonetheless. However, I will say finger stuff is my line. Like even in horror movies and fictional settings, finger stuff will get me every time.
And
other
I'm
stuff,
so
whatever.
sensitive about my fingers, like how when they take blood, they put your finger in that little hole and they hit the button, it just punctures your finger. Like I won't let them do it.
I hate that.
Anytime I go to the doctor and they pull one, I'm like, you can put that away right now. It's like, sir, we need to take your blood sample.
Yeah, take it from my arm. I don't care.
Right here. I
got a boatload of it.
Yeah.
You're right here. I don't care. You are not putting that thing in my fucking
I use this. I don't really use this.
See, that's wild to me. Like, because like they're just like that's just like the little one with like the little syringe that you just check like your blood iron levels. Like you can't do much with it, and you don't want them to poke your finger with that.
No, if I were diabetic, I would die. Like that,
you would put the dye in diabetic.
Yeah, I would not be able to bring myself to say, okay, here, poke my finger. No.
Thank God you live in an era where they can do that once a week, where you just put one in your arm and then you can just scan it.
Yeah, but the trade-off is, of course, that I live in a country where that kind of technology would cost
money.
Now you see, if you live in
those things are expensive, Tim.
Costs here too, doesn't it? Like I don't think you just get to.
Nope, they're not covered by most plans.
No, I was gonna say that's also probably expensive up here too.
Yeah,
because we're a hybrid hellscape.
I think one of those is like a couple $100,
like per week.
Yeah, per week. Yeah.
Oh,
you don't.
I mean, they're convenient as hell.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. Like that would be the way I would want to go if I could, but like
I looked into it. Like, so my doctor's been like, so I'm not fully, I'm like pre-diabetic, whatever that means. But my doctor wants me to measure my blood sugar, but I don't have to because I'm not on insulin or anything.
Right.
What's that?
Ozempic, semaglutide.
I'm on those. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I don't. but I don't measure my blood sugar regularly, and my doctor's been bugging me to do it, but it's not critical. And like you, Muffin, I don't like doing the finger poke. So I get one of those patches you're talking about, Tim, but like Toast said, they're pretty expensive. So
I will say that the thing is like you don't have to prick like the ball of your finger. You can prick the side of it. So
yeah, I know.
Doesn't affect like your
Yeah.
typing or whateher. It's okay.
Yeah,
So like
it's one of those things.
you're talking
not
about
rational. I'm not
snipping your
trying to say it's
nerve endings,
rational.
and like this is literally just like this is easier than a paper cut, in my opinion. Paper cuts.
Yes, but I don't intentionally inflict paper cuts on myself.
I mean, if you had to.
No, that's the point.
See, I'm pre-paper cut.
hyperbolic again because I was snipping a couple little nerve endings on my fingers. Like, I'm sure that if I had to, I would do it, but like, man, no,
Gnarly.
no, thank you.
No, that's
I
fucking gross.
hate needles, but now I have to administer them to myself every 2 weeks. So
Mm.
not
Oh,
really
yeah?
fine.
I used to do the Muffin mentioned Ozempic. There used to be a needle that I have to give myself. First, it was every day, which sucked. Then it became a week. But eventually, I told the doc, like, first of all, they're expensive because you got to buy a new freaking like device every whatever.
Yeah, the injectors are every.
Yeah.
Because I'm on Ozempic as well.
Are you? Holy smokes!
Yeah, but that's purely for weight loss. I'm on a off-label usage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly why I had it too.
But are you still taking the shot? Because they've moved me to pills. In fact, I think I have them here. No, I don't.
Maybe Ozempic.
But yeah,
No,
they.
There's no pill form of Ozempic, is there?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Do you want me to go get it? I can show you.
Well, is it called Ozempic?
All right, I'll be right back.
Yeah, because I'm legitimately curious about this. I was always given to understand that you had to take the little shot in your belly for it.
Yeah, that's
like,
exactly
I'm
it.
I'm not overweight by any stretch of the imagination. I was just talking with the endocrinologist who manages my testosterone and everything. I do have low testosterone, so I take stuff for that. And I was talking to her about trying to lose, this little bit of weight. It's like I'm just this last bit of belly fat I cannot get off, and I have a little more on my chest than I would like. And she's like, "Well, then you should take this. This will help." Didn't really do shit for me, so I've just been dealing with all the side effects of Ozempic with none of the positive effects of weight loss that are supposed to come with it. Instead, it's just incredible heartburn all the time, lowered appetite, and constipation and all
I've
that.
had like none of the downsides and just continual slow but reliable weight loss every month.
I'll show you the side there, so my personal info doesn't get shown. Yeah. See?
Yeah.
I will be damned. I did not know that it could be
Take
taken
one of those every
orally.
day or what?
This is new though, like because I was kind of complaining about the
injector.
It's not fun to have to poke yourself every week or whatever. And and I also didn't like the nausea. Plus, it's expensive. I'm like, I'm paying an arm and a leg to give myself a shot that makes me feel like shit. There's got to be a better way. And my doctor was like, well, so it started off daily, then it went to weekly, and then like not too long ago, about a year ago now, she was like, hey, guess what? They just developed an ingestible version, so here you go. I'm like, woohoo! So I didn't have to. Plus,
cheaper?
it was embarrassing to have this giant tank that was like, biohazard waste on it on my desk, and people would come over and be like, what the hell is that? why do you have bio and
First
waste?
of all, why do you keep it on your desk? Mine's hidden in my front closet.
Because it was convenient.
Yeah, I have mine at
I'm not gonna go
home.
dig it out of my desk every week or whatever, my closet every week, just to dispose of my pen.
Just because you're putting a pen away, like.
No, because I had to dispose of the tip every single time as well. And if I didn't have it right there, it would be sitting on my desk. I had a child. I was like, no, just keep it right here so I don't forget. Listen, man, don't judge me for what I do with my biohazardous waste.
You could repurpose like literally any sort of like medical container. It doesn't have to be one of those bio waste like baskets that.
Yeah, but it had the convenient like one-way flap.
Yeah,
because I had a kid.
Yeah,
so
I know.
You have to return like to actually then like give sharps in. You have to do it in a container that can
special
close
container
itself.
Yeah,
It has to be medic. I think it's like a medical grade sharps
medical
container.
waste something. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have it anymore because I don't need it.
And
Well, lucky you.
is the capsule form cheaper?
Do I have a receipt handy? Couldn't tell you. It's probably, I'm going to say probably yes, but still kind of expensive.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I want to
expect
say
it
it's
to
$50
be.
a box, and that's after my deductions. Because I
And
have a plan
with your health plan,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, is
And
that
then
expensive,
is
really?
that daily?
Yeah. Every box has 30 tablets, so roughly once a month, give or take.
This is the weirdest flip of things because like I always expect things to be more expensive, medical stuff to be more expensive in the U.S. The Ozempic, the little injector that I would buy,
Yeah.
was only like $30.
What?
Oh, that
For the
is
injector alone or including the doses?
That's including the doses and
Really?
5 needles for doing the injections.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. Mine was way more expensive. than
Almost
that.
10
Mine was
times.
easily
I was
over
going to say
$100.
close to I was going to say now that I don't have my wife's insurance and I'm paying 100% out of pocket for it, I think it's about $280.
Yeah,
For
so
the-
that makes
for the
sense because
injector,
I have coverage, so mine was less than that, but it's still a lot.
Yeah.
Wow, that blows my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not universal. Like a lot of the stuff we get up here will be cheaper,
Yeah.
but
You'd
I
be
think
shocked.
this is one
Our
of those,
universal
like,
health is not universal.
Well, I mean, I think it's because it's not really considered one of those like
No.
necessary
It's absolutely
medications. Yeah, so that's why it doesn't get the same coverage. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like generally speaking, for as far as medical coverage here in Canada goes, it generally applies more to things that are considered like, necessary life-saving stuff.
Right.
The stuff
Prescription
that's
drugs
less
or not. Yeah.
correct. Yeah. Generally, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
All right.
it's been-
So I'm gonna have to go do dinner here pretty quick.
I was gonna
So
say,
are there
I
any
think-
last topics that we need to hit while we're all here. It's been we didn't. By the way, welcome everybody to the Isolation Squad.
We never even did it.
Yeah, and now we get to do an outro. I have been Tim. Pronouns he
You
him.
have. But what are you now then?
Oh, we'll
Still
find
Tim.
out. We'll find out
Still
not
Tim.
next week because I'm
Find
in
out next
Calgary.
time.
But
Tune in next
yeah,
time.
exactly.
I'm not a muffin. Haven't been. Will not be.
And yet
Well,
we
not
still
even
call
me.
you Muffin.
Yeah, short for
I'll
not a
take it.
muffin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm Romantic Undead, the sweetest rotting zombie you will ever meet.
Gross.
And I have been your toasted host with the most. This has been the most ridiculous episode of this podcast we have ever done.
Has it,
Definitely the
though?
loosiest and goosiest, which
Yes.
Oh,
that
yeah,
I would say.
it's made it the most enjoyable.
it was nice. It was nice.
Yeah.
It was a nice return to a little bit of our more original format, which we still have to do.
Yeah.
We still have to finish the ground
yes.
Our game, yeah.
among
Oh, it's good to
us.
take a break.
The ground
ground
itself.
itself.
Yeah, that one.
And I still have those tabs open.
Oh my god! What an absolute fucking champ!
Hilarious.
Completely devoted to the cause, and I appreciate that so much.
It's ready to go for any time that we want to do one of these, and we don't have a topic at hand.
There you
Perfect.
go.
Which could have been today, but apparently we had no problem filling the time with bullshit.
Yeah,
We just
well, it's been a few
went
weeks,
off.
so
We just shot off the hip and just kept going.
We delved into some, what's the word I'm looking for? Existential horror. And then back to
Body
drugs.
horror.
There you go. And then back to
Well,
drugs.
sometime soon we will have to have also a full discussion about Elden Ring and why it is the best
Oh,
Souls
beware.
game that has
Beware.
ever been made.
A lot of-
beware.
It's well trod ground at this
Yeah,
point.
but
But it's
Still-
now it's
still-
Elden Ring. We have not talked about it.
and we talked about it a little bit today, but we'll
Yeah, we
continue,
did.
we'll continue
Yes.
to talk about it.
I
Cool.
was like, can we not?
Well, I will not limit your guys' creativity. I appreciate your guys' enthusiasm for the subject matter, and I will be a willing participant.
Well,
But
thank you. We appreciate
Here's
your
what we do.
you appreciate the space that I provide you here.
Yes.
We get everybody in the Discord to contribute $1.
Ooh.
And then we buy Tim a copy of Elden Ring on PC.
You don't have that
And
many
we
people in
pull-
Discord.
We play.
Just got to do it for like
through
3
it.
months.
It might have to be
Together.
$2 or $3 there,
Yeah.
Muffin.
Join our
Everybody
Patreon at our
can-
$1 tier, and once we get 30 subscribers, Tim will play Elden Ring.
We get Tim to play, and we all watch and coach him through it.
Okay. All right, everyone. Have a good week.
All right,
Thanks,
guys.
everybody. I'll talk to you later.
Peace.
Later.
Bye.